have his baby, but not move in.
He wants you to have his baby.
Run.
Whoa.
Run.
Nah.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Run.
Yes.
We don't.
Yes.
Did he? No, hold up.
Look, I'm 38 years old. I have a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old.
Beloved, you about to give us more context than we need.
I know.
Run. I don't even usually speak generally, bruh, because I don't believe in painting everybody with the same brush. If I'm talking to you about putting a long-term dependent in your life without making long-term plans with you, run.
Come on,
We don't need no more, respectfully, I'm not being disrespectful, we don't need no more story. Run from cuz, bruh.
You know, out of all the times I've ever told someone that I don't want to have children, nobody has ever said to me, wow, I love that you know that about yourself. 9 times out of 10, they'll try and talk me out of it, and I just have to sit there like this, waiting until they're done, because, I knew I didn't want to have kids when I was a kid. It's been 10 years, still don't, and honestly, have you taken a look around? It's the pits. I don't think you can blame me.
No, but why is it always, I can't wait to be a dad, I can't wait to be a father, I can't wait to...
Yeah, it's because men do not experience a similar level of mental stress, physical struggle, and societal expectations as women do when they have kids. And honestly, I would also avoid men who say they want kids with their whole reason being anything to do with just them. So they want kids because they want to continue their legacy. Because most of those men do not want to parent a child as much as they want to use being a parent as some form of status symbol. But anyway, let's just talk about the risks of pregnancy alone. And this is not just weight gain and morning sickness, but postpartum depression, pelvic floor dysfunction, hair loss, just to name some. And if you're a woman living in a state where you have complications in your pregnancy and cannot get the help that you need, if you know what I'm saying, you are risking your life. And this is also not including the invisible labor of running a household and a family that usually falls on women, especially if her partner is using weaponized incompetence to get out of his share of the workload. And yet, on the other hand, it is usually men who are getting praised for simply doing their part. So bringing their kids to school, putting their kids down to bed at night, helping their kids with a school project, or bringing them to a dentist appointment.
Hola, mis amores, ¿cómo están? Hi, my loves. How are you doing today? So I'm back with another video, podcast, all smashed into one. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about kids. We're going to talk a little bit more about something that's not talked about enough, quite frankly, and we need to start bringing up way more often, because it doesn't make sense that we don't address this. It adds to the delusion of males. We're going to talk more about the fact that it's mostly males that are the problem when it comes to women not being able to have children, even when they do want to have children. We're also going to touch base on the fact that males treat it like it's nothing. Having children, wanting to have children, they treat and talk about it and speak about it and go about it as if it's nothing. Why? Well, we'll find out in this video, in this podcast, in this vodcast. We'll talk more about the fact that males don't, at the core of the situation, they don't deserve children, and they don't deserve women. They don't deserve children. They don't deserve women. So if you are a woman continuing to pop out kids for the male species, I'm sorry to say, but you're dumb. There's no way, especially in the current economic environment. And you'll see why I'm saying that. You will see why, right? In my opinion, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. So anyways, let's go ahead and run the reminders, because we got to keep the lights on. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button for me, join the Patreon, and also join the membership section for exclusive content. So I'm going to be focusing a lot more on the membership section and a lot more on the Patreon, which is kind of like a part of the membership section as well, just because those are, of course, paying members. So making sure to focus more on that is kind of my goal, and making more specialized content there. So make sure to check that out as well. So let's run the reminders and let's get this conversation going. Leave it in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's going through your mind here? Here on this channel, we talk about anything and everything related to the girlies. We're going to be doing more exclusive content for exclusive members, where we dive in more depth talking about some of these things. So I'm going to be doing content for exclusive members where we're able to kind of dive in a little bit deeper, because some of this stuff we can't necessarily just openly talk about, you know what I mean? Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Okay. Love you so much. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button for me as well, and the notification bell so you don't miss a podcast every time that it comes out. Okay. Also, links are below in the description. The Patreon is now up. Take a look at what the different tiers are. There's links below to the Patreon. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. Free newsletters. You can sign up for those at our website, link below as well. All the other socials are also linked below, so make sure to follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. We're now on Blue Sky as well. So thank you so much for your support. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this whole situation, okay? Because it's totally insane. It's totally crazy.
Women after the age of 35 have expired. And this is just biology, but they hate on me. I didn't create science.
Well, here are the facts. Peak male fertility is around the age of 25 to 29. The quality of a man's sperm starts to drop after the age of 30. Meanwhile, there are women who can still get pregnant and give birth well into their mid-40s. 40% of all infertility issues are caused by a man's poor sperm quality.
It's just biology. I didn't create science.
So while men are out here smiling and acting like they can have kids at any age, the truth is a lot of them can't. Men spend their whole lives convincing themselves that they age like fine wine, while screaming at the top of their lungs that women have an expiration date. Only a small, irrelevant man with nothing to offer would say that women lose value as they age. When a woman gets older, she gains wisdom, intuition, and emotional intelligence. She becomes more confident and less willing to tolerate BS. Meanwhile, an aging man with poor sperm quality and plummeting testosterone levels just becomes more stubborn and less desirable, and increasingly desperate to prove to the whole world that he still matters. I know a lot of men will say, that's not true. Men become more desirable as they get older because they make more money. First of all, most of you watching this will never become wealthy, especially in a country like South Africa, where we have some of the highest levels of inequality in the world. A lot of these men who are expected to be seen as more attractive as they get older are going to be very disappointed when reality hits them. To the women watching this, most of these men can't even take care of themselves. Don't let anyone tell you that your value decreases as you age. You're not a product with an expiration date. If you just stay focused and work on yourself, you'll have so much freedom that you won't have to tolerate all the BS that men bring.
The swimmers are produced in the hanging oranges and they grow there. If anything is affecting that area, then the quality of your swimmer can be compromised. So if you're noticing redness, you're noticing pain when you touch it, or anything that resembles a lump around that area, it is time for you to go and talk to a doctor about it, because it could be pointing you to something that could be the reason that pregnancy has not happened for a long time. Number 2 is when you spit your swimmer so quickly. So within 1 minute, within 30 seconds, within 23 seconds, bros, it is not normal. I know that for pregnancy to occur, you have to spit your swimmer, but spitting it so quickly, less than 2 to 3 minutes of wongoro is not considered normal. It is too quick. It is too early. So it could be pointing you to something that could be happening with your hormone, or psychological or physical as well. For you to know where the problem is coming from, you need to meet your healthcare provider so that they can take a quick look at you and know if there is any problem at all. Number 3 is inability to spit your swimmer. I've talked about spitting the swimmer too quickly. Now, if you have the inability to spit it, that means you have to spend 5 hours when you are doing wongoro before you are able to spit. 5 signs that a man could be infertile. To spit it, that means you have to spend 5 hours when you are doing wongoro before you are able to spit your swimmer. Then, bros, it is also time for you to go and speak to a doctor. Some of you use it to go and be doing big boy. Do you know how many hours I used to bros? There is a problem. Go and talk to a doctor about it, because for pregnancy to occur, the swimmer has to be available for the egg. Now, if it is taking you this length of time for you to be able to spit your swimmer, both of you could be tired in the process, and before you are able to even introduce the swimmer for. Number 4 is when you notice that your wongoro machine does not used to stand when you see your partner. Before, it used to stand, but recently you have noticed, if your partner like, let her dance, put your head on my shoulder, it's coming from. Number 5, after wongoro, you start noticing that there is coloration in your swimmer. Now, when you are able to speak the swimmer, sometimes you will notice spillage. From that spillage, if you're noticing that there are areas of dots, maybe you're noticing green patches or red patches on top of your swimmer, bros, go and talk to a doctor.
All of those thousands and thousands of years where males would blame women for infertility. They would blame women for cases where they weren't able to have children, when in reality, it's the male's sperm that's causing the issue. It's the male who has bad sperm. So it turns out, and the percentages are increasing, because now they're saying, oh, well, I guess it turns out that at least a minimum of 30% of infertility is caused by males and problems with their sperm. Now that percentage has gone up. Now I believe it's closer to 40%. So the more they're seeing that more and more women are still not wanting to have kids, the more it seems like they're having to tell the truth. They're having to tell the truth, because you keep blaming women for all these things. You're just going to have more and more women saying, you know what, never mind. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm going to have to go through all the stress. I'm going to have to take the blame. I'm going to have to, it's just one more reason to not even have to deal with it. So the more they're trying to finally start telling the truth about the fact that, a lot of infertility, maybe even most of infertility, is the fault of the male species. The male species is the one with low sperm. The male species is the one with bad sperm. So this commenter says, for further research, increasing male age has been shown to be associated with a number of disorders like achondroplasia, autism, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorders, among many others. So, again, you got to be careful, because the quality of the sperm, even in sperm banks, and he mentions, I think in one of the comments we're going to look at, sperm banks don't accept sperm from males that are over the age of 38. If you have a kid, you better start saying Hail Mary if you believe in religion. You better start praying to whatever it is that you believe in if you go and you procreate with a male that's older than 38 years old. Because your child, if you get pregnant, your child is 100% more likely to come out with all sorts of disorders. Health disorders, psychological disorders, mental health disorders, just because you went with a male that's older than the age of 38. Okay. Not to mention the fact that I believe it's now over 40% of males that are under the age of 30, I believe, are actually suffering from sperm count issues. They're actually suffering from erectile dysfunction. And that number is continuing to increase. So you have to understand that procreating with a male has so many risks that you would never even imagine. And the patriarchy warns you of none of them. None of them. They were just throwing women to the wolves for slaughter, for feeding. They were throwing you into the wolves for feeding, to be preyed on like literal meat. Literally. So the next comment he says here, that was a really good comment, also says, who's going to tell him that sperm banks don't accept sperms from males that are older than 38? Also, the health of the baby, quality of the pregnancy, and even the disabilities of the child is 100% relied on the quality of the sperm. That's why since the beginning of time on my channel, if you've been here, if you're an OG, you've heard me talk about and say multiple times, I will not procreate with trash genes. Trash genes. No, thank you. Because I've read studies on it. I know the truth about it. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to bring a child here and I know the genes are trash. They missed the boat. They wanted to do that. They should have caught me in my earlier 20s or earlier teenage years, 18, 19, when I was still lack thereof experience.
So a lot of men see fatherhood in the sense of it's something, their legacy, something that belongs to them, something that they, are proud of, are loving of. But then when it comes to the core labor, the mental load, they approach it in the way that young children approach having pets. They don't think about what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. They don't think about the daily effort it takes to keep that thing alive well. They don't think about the strain, the mental load that the person who's looking after the pet on a day-to-day, on a more intricate basis is under, has to think about, has to consider. When children see pets, they just see all the fun side of it, the cute side, good you go, my pet. Whereas anyone who's owned a pet knows there's so much labor that goes into it. There's so much thought that goes into it. There's so much cost that can go into it. A lot of men have the mentality like children do with pets, that if for any reason something's not going wrong, they can just discard their children. They can walk out of their children's life. I can't tell you how many men have said, they don't see their kids because the kids' mums make it hard. Side note, are you well? Because I don't care what men say. There is no day when a man will say to you he did not collect his salary from work, his money that's owed to him, because someone is making it hard for him. By hell or by high fire, that man's find a way to get that money. Use that same energy for your children. Men will tell you they're not looking after their kid because they didn't want the kid and it was the woman's choice to push out the baby. Once you have put your penis into a woman and ejaculated, you are consenting to have a child. If you do not want that, celibacy is an option. That is where your choice and your decision in the matter comes in. So stop acting like you don't have a choice. Celibacy is a choice. It has been a choice since the dawn of day. You are not exempt from responsibility because when you made the bad decision, it's now not in your hands to reverse it. Because shall I tell you what has a zero risk? Not having the sex. But anyway, I digress, as I often do. But men will say, it wasn't their choice, so they don't have to look after their child. I promise you now, if you tried to give a man 100K that he didn't earn, he wouldn't say, I didn't work for this. I don't want to take it. Hand out. But aside from a scolding of the men, this is a gentle reminder to women that the load for children will fall on your lap, inevitably. Even if you have the most supportive partner, the genetic components that are on you as a woman will mean that you will carry, at least for the early years, the bulk of the child rearing. The way that society has been set up for mothers to be the primary caretaker will mean that you will carry the bulk of the child rearing. I still to this day do not understand why fathers get 2 weeks paternity leave. Who is supposed to take care of the child after that? What? There's this assumption of society that the burden of child rearing should fall on the mother, which I don't agree with. But in an alternative reality, if I got with a man and we had a baby and me and that man are not together, he is going to be the primary caretaker. I don't care what anyone says. If there is nothing wrong with being a non-custodial parent, because men do it all the time, that's fine. That's the lane I want to be in. And to be honest, I encourage more women to do this. I encourage more women to allow men to feel the burden of child rearing, because then maybe they would be less dismissive about how heavy that load is. I read the other day a Reddit about a man who was with his wife and she was the primary breadwinner. He did not work. And he was getting annoyed that she was calling him a house husband and, praising him for being her house husband and, taking care of things in the house. And he was really irritated by it. And it made me realize just how little value men put on housewives and mothers and stay-at-home mothers and wives. And I think the reason they put so little value on it is because they don't and cannot relate to that experience, because they don't have to do that work on a day-to-day. And looking at it from the outside in, it probably seems easier than it actually is, because to them, making money is the work. I would argue that the harder work is raising children, especially when you have multiple. And a lot of women do that and still work and still carry the majority of the domestic burden. So all of that to say, women, before you have children, think about it. Think about if this is what you really want. Think about if you're wanting and willing and ready to do the amount of work it takes to be a mother. I think motherhood has been so successfully marketed into this like Disney princess fairy tale. And in reality, it's quite the opposite. It's such hard work, often with, in this baby mama culture at least, very little support from the father of the child or children.
Period. This covers everything that we talk about consistently. It's all in the marketing. They lied to you. They did. The patriarchy they did a fantastic job. I got to say, this psychological job is spot on. Undeniable. How well this job was done. Marketing to women, motherhood, and all of this work so that males didn't have to do a thing. Don't have to lift a finger. Unfortunately for them, when you do that, you also stop evolving. And the ones that you are oppressing are the ones that will evolve past you. So, ladies, don't do it. Yes, to pass on their legacy. What legacy? Exactly. Children are not legacies. The children will also pass away once they're old. Children will grow up, go out there, live their own lives, do their own thing. Hopefully, if you did a good job. They will leave you behind if you did a good job. Children that surpass their parents, evolve past their parents, leave their parents behind. Why? Because that's probably how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Your child isn't supposed to be on the same level as you. They are supposed to surpass you. They're supposed to evolve past you. They're not going to be your legacy. It's so silly when you logically process through it. You want the child to be your legacy. So therefore, what you're saying is you want the child anchored to the same level as you. You don't want them to surpass you. That doesn't make sense. And then they bring a child into this world with this mentality. The child is supposed to surpass you if you did a good job. They're supposed to evolve past you. That's literally the point. Otherwise, you're just bringing a bunch of degenerates into this world, raising a bunch of degenerates, aka the males. Okay? So it doesn't even make sense when you logically stop to think about it. They really don't care about family. They don't care about legacy. No, they don't care about family. They don't care about children. What they're talking about, what they do care about is the legacy. Meanwhile, children aren't legacies. That's not what they're meant for. That's not what you bring them there for. They can't be legacies. They can't be. Because they're human beings. They're not objects. They're not things. They're not assets. And it's a legacy has to be something that you do yourself, that you yourself are leaving. Not something that you try to push onto somebody else, such as a child. Doesn't make sense. They care about legacy, but then they cheat and don't support their children's mothers. Oh yeah.
Want to know if a man likes you? No. Do you want to know if a man finds you attractive? No. Do you want to know if a man respects you? No. Do you want to know what a man really thinks about you? No.
Point blank, period. Point blank, period. I don't know. It's like these males are delusional. You're looking for a female that cares, aka Pygmisha. You're in the wrong place. Know your levels. Know the level to which you belong. But males don't know their levels. They don't know the levels on which they belong. So women are constantly having to remind them, no, sir, I do not care what you think. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever the F I want to do, period. Point blank, period.
You know that guy in the ill-fitting suit that makes sprinkle content? The one who went live with Shara 7? That guy is a grifter. That guy used to make red-pilled content. He realized that he could get further and make more money by using popular rhetoric amongst female creators to exploit women and to make money off of women. And you guys fall for it, and it drives me absolutely crazy. Why would you let a man come into this space and make even a penny off of anything that we're saying? While he's telling you not to go 50-50 with a guy on a date, he's racking in money from you. He used to make content for men. He used to make content talking about how he cheats on his girlfriends. Basically like Playboy content. Like, if you want this big house that I rented, if you want to be the man like me in his horrible H&M suit, then you need to treat women like this, and women only respect you if you treat them like this, and I used to cheat on my girlfriends. That's the kind of content he used to make. I made a video talking about how older men who date younger women are dating younger women because they're easier to take advantage of. He commented on it and said, younger women are prettier than older women. That's literally it. Someone said, so you like them for superficial purposes, which is what she said, if you listen instead of reacting. And he said, yes, this guy is the guy that he's telling you to avoid. The only reason he knows is because he is that guy. He has no respect for women. He doesn't care about you. He's just trying to make a buck off of you. Stop falling for grifters.
Women will fall for anything and everything if you are not thinking logically. I've been saying this about this guy, and I was seeing more and more feedback on this, where I guess the Shira 7 has been doing content with this random dude, and I clocked it from day one. Because why? Because logically it doesn't make any sense. Why do you have a male there capitalizing off of the woman's space? When has the male in their manosphere ever tried to cast women in a positive light in their manosphere and capitalize off of casting women in a positive light in their manosphere? It has never happened. Every time they put women there, it's always a younger lady who they are trying to feast off of by berating, by abusing, and by talking down on. And yet the women can't seem to think and process through this information on their own. They are that desperate. Finally, someone remembers Russell Hartley's lore. He is the worst. Yep, I've been saying this, that he is absolutely the worst. Oh no, I remember him during COVID. He was so obnoxious and rude. Until the day that women learned that you cannot listen to a male. Period. These women keep thinking it's just some males. It's sometimes. No, ma'am, it's 99.999% of the time. It's enough. It's enough times to make it not worth your time to take the risk. Maybe if I say it in that way, you'll finally understand. It's enough times to make it not worth your time to take the risk. And he looks so weird. Like, the first time I saw him, I didn't even know about this guy in the manosphere. It was because people kept talking about it because the Shira 7 lady kept collaborating with him. And people were talking about it and saying, but this guy is a part of the manosphere. If you're saying that this guy changed, then why is he over here talking to women and trying to capitalize off of women? If he changed, why doesn't he retain that same energy talking to males and saying how he was wrong, apologizing for how he was wrong, and trying to talk to the males and change the males? Why is he over here all of a sudden? It's like, we got to start engaging in critical thinking and processing. Okay? He's always given me weird vibes, and yeah, it feels like he rents the house he films in. Oh my gosh, he probably does rent the house he films in. It's a shame because a lot of women like the message that she has. A lot of poor women that need money, that are desperate for it, like the message that she has, right? So to have that blemish on her brand, I'm not quite sure what the tactic is there. Maybe it's just because it's all about money. Maybe that's what it's all about, right?
This guy said I wasn't beautiful, like, to my face in person. And so I said, I don't care what a gay man thinks about my beauty. It didn't go over well. Okay, and it was a huge issue. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I was just joking. I was clearly just joking. I said, okay, I was just joking too. If you can tell jokes that aren't funny, why can't I?